Catus, Maximus here. This is a small bench review of this 6-piece Harbor Freight Chief heavy duty or professional air hammer chisel set, which from off the tool trucks, these 6-piece sets can be over $100. So these are normally $50, but if now with like the discounts on a lot of the name brand stuff and like the toolboxes, Harbor Freight they want your information, they want you to be a part of their inside track club. It's a little annoying, but besides that, this is a 6-piece set and pretty bulletproof packaging, and you get a normal hammer. You actually just get a blunt hammer end, which is handy for driving out bushings, a cutter for cutting splitting nuts, which tend to wear out pretty fast, but we'll see how this one does. I'll do another updated review on how they hold up. A punch to split things, a regular chisel, a half or a curved chisel, which they call a tailpipe cutter, and then a scraping tool. So let's get this open. A little bit pricey, but they do advertise them as being a lot tougher than the standard Pittsburgh. This is going to be a bear. They got all these individually welded here. If you buy these, you're going to have a real special time getting this packaging, especially if you don't have a cutter like one of those. This is pretty thick cardboard over 2 thick layers of plastic, and I had to stand on this and pull up with both hands to get this to rip open. So that's going to be your first adventure with this product. Anyway, these are known as Parker style, so this is a universal standard one, and I'm going to see how these work out because I did go ahead and Harbor Freight has a new huge Super Duty. I mean, this thing must weigh 5 to 10 pounds. So we'll see how this Super Duty air hammer goes along with these chisel bits. These are definitely seem a lot better finish than the normal Harbor Freight. And they're made in Taiwan. These are not Chinese. So here's our cutter. And what the idea of this is you'll get it on the edge of a nut, and then you can use it to kind of carve out and break it in half. These tend to wear out pretty quick, and then you have to use a very small grinding wheel like a chainsaw sharpening wheel and a Dremel to try to resharpen them. This is just a blunt hammer. This is just really great for just pounding bushings out. Maybe you got a bolt that's stuck that you're just going to pound the end of it. That's what that would be for. You just got a point for various purposes. Most times it's trying to get in and then split something apart. These are pretty well oiled. You have a standard chisel, which isn't super thick, really. Yeah, I've seen Bosch chisels for rotary hammers that are a little thicker than this, but it seems like it's okay. And then these are the 2 special chisels. This is their scraper, and these are, they call it an undercoat scraper, but it can be used for a variety of purposes. I think if you have a decent air compressor, this chisel and then this scraper piece would be great for knocking out tile or something like that. That's what that seems like it's good for. And then this is what they're advertising as an exhaust cutter, and it's just a curved, little bit wider chisel. So this is anything where you might, any type of tubing, or where you might want to, or I should say anything that's semicircular, because then it'll offer just a greater contact area rather than just being, if it's circular, then it'll just be on one small point. So it was just a quick introduction to these things. I saw the Harbor Freight came out with a big air hammer. At least in my store, they had the big air hammer before they had chisels. And I thought, the cheap Harbor Freight chisels are kind of a buy, and just they usually hold up for a few jobs, and then they're just not very strong, not very hard. But it must be that the new air hammer has enough power where the cheap chisels just won't hold up. So they came out with a decent set, and it's actually an improvement because it's offering you some air hammer bits that just weren't available from Harbor Freight before. A little pricey at $50 retail, $40 if you can dig up one of those inside track coupons. And I think that's a sweet spot for these. I think $40 for some Taiwanese, decent grade 6-piece chisel set is actually fairly worthy, particularly because these types of sets can be very expensive from the professional brands, although I'm sure the professional brands do hold up a lot better. But for generally speaking, if you're not going to use them much, it's still pretty handy to have one of these 6-piece sets, because then you're much more likely to have some kind of a bit that's actually going to do just what you need it to do. And the only other thing that I noticed is there's this bit seems to be the odd person out. And the reason I'm saying that, it's really apparent. If we look at all these shanks here, I mean, these are all identical. These all just came off the same machine, same factory line, everything. But I was noticing on this one that this collar here is a lot thicker than the rest of these. It was also, it appears to have been bead blasted, sand blasted, put in one of those ceramic tumbling machines. It just seems to be a little bit different. Maybe this is one piece forged, where this, you would have forged shanks and then they forged the ends, as you can see here. But this may have been one piece, and that's why it looks a little bit different. But that did catch my eye. I was like, huh, you know, that seems like it was manufactured a little bit differently. It just didn't quite fit the shanks of all the rest. Anyway, I really appreciate everybody who's been watching and subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. Until next time, Catus Maximus out.